Quella ragazza è tua sorella?
No, lei è mia cugina. Mia sorella sta parlando con tuo fratello.
Ah, capisco. E chi è tuo fratello?
Mio fratello è a casa con i miei nonni.
Certo, i tuoi nonni. Lui non viene ai vostri eventi, vero?
Ogni morte di papa.
Buongiorno a tutti e bentornati al nostro programma. Buongiorno Marco.
Ciao Martin, buongiorno, come va?
Sì, benone, grazie. Benone, e tu?
Molto bene, molto bene. Tutti e due con la pioggia. Both of us
Mm,
with rain today. Yeah.
sì, piove a dirotto
Piove a
qui.
dirotto, molto bene. Well, let's start. How about that? Let's get right into it because we have
Let's do
quite a few
it.
things to cover.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that it looks like that the theme today must be La Familia.
Well, yes, that's several family members on
Mhm.
this dialogue, but not only because we also have these weird little things, mio, tuo, suo. We can look at
Yeah.
both. It's not too much, I think.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah.
Okay, so quella ragazza è tua sorella.
Hmm.
Tua obviously agrees with sorella,
Good.
and sorella I know is sister.
Correct.
So that girl is that girl your sister? I see the question mark at the end now. Sorry.
Very good. No, yes. No, you very two very interesting points. Number one, in Italian questions often look like statements, so you wouldn't know it's a question if not for the question mark. And then secondly, you're right. Everything is feminine. Everything ends with an a in this particular sentence. Quella ragazza, then is tua sorella. So yeah,
So you could also say quella bella ragazza è tua sorella.
you could do that, and you could keep adding adjectives as much as you want, and most of them would end with an a.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's I would say that's a very standard question or sentence, I guess, in many ways. So it's a good one to keep in mind. Everything ends with an A because everything is feminine, or because ragazza is feminine, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That makes sense to me. No, lei è mia cugina. And again, we've got endings in A there. And cugina, I know, and you could probably have a guess at that. Cugina is cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Mia cugina, my cousin. No, she's my cousin. Right, keep going. Mia sorella sta parlando con tuo fratello. And it changes there halfway through the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Parlando, we know, comes from parlare.
Mm-hmm.
Sta parlando, we've not covered, and perhaps we'll do that at a later date, but we know that someone's talking, and we know mia sorella is my sister,
Mm-hmm.
and tuo fratello, well, we know fratello is a brother.
Yes.
So with your brother?
Very good. Yes, my sister is speaking with your brother. Very good. You said everything right. And that sta parlando is a very interesting phrase, I think. Maybe let's quickly talk about it very quickly. How do you
Mhm.
translate, Martin? What do you think is the best English translation for that?
Well, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because if you say parla,
Mm-hmm.
that can be speaks or is speaking.
Good.
But sta parlando makes it the actual gerund, doesn't it? Like, where we
Correct.
know it's definitely happening at the moment.
Very good.
So it's sta parlando, it is happening at the moment.
Very good. I agree. I agree that the is speaking is the best translation, which is almost literal because that stare is not quite to be. It's more like to stay. But as we know in Italian, it's not as clear as in English the difference between the two. So is speaking is a good translation, and the way we do this is a very simple one. Parlando will never change. It does not depend on the gender or number of anything. It just stays parlando. And we just conjugate the verb stare. So io sto parlando, tu stai parlando, lui o lei sta parlando, such as this case, stiamo parlando, and so forth. So it's a very simple way to to give a little bit more precision to our statement. Because if we say mia sorella parla con tuo fratello, we might mean that she often does it, right? That she
Mhm.
enjoys doing it. But if you say sta parlando, well, she's right there speaking at this very moment, as you were saying.
Mm. And it works really easily with most verbs, doesn't it? Sta leggendo,
Yeah,
sta scrivendo, sta
yeah.
ballando, sta cucinando. You can do it with everything, can't you?
Very good, yes. And if since now we know first, second, third conjugation, first conjugation will do ando, so parlando, ascoltando, incontrando, whereas second and third will do endo. So, for example, mettendo, avendo, essendo, even irregular verbs, right? Dormendo, aprendo, finendo. It's very standard, it's very regular, very few irregular verbs, such as, for example, fare, dire. Very few don't work as we expect.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually. You've gone down a different road there, haven't you? Because I know it's facendo, but I don't. Is it direndo?
Dicendo, dicendo.
Dicendo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fare and
Yeah.
dire are weird because in Latin they used to be facere and dicere. And that's why,
Yeah.
by the way, we kind of ping pong, io faccio, tu fai. This C appears and disappears because we have two different forms in Latin and Italian, therefore things happen that shouldn't. But yeah, we never talked about either fare, to do, or dire, to say, or to tell, I guess. But yeah, Latin is in the way. Okay, as always,
Mm.
we know the problem is the Romans.
Always, sempre.
Yeah.
Okay. Capisco.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think everyone should say that more often in life. We've not done any t-shirt ideas this season yet, so capisco. I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I understand.
Uh-huh.
E chi è tuo fratello? And who is? Who is your brother?
Good. Yes. And everybody at home can try and spell capisco unless you're reading the text, which I've been asked, and the answer is yes. We paste the test in the podcast. If you are on Spotify or wherever you are, you should be able to see it in the description just in case. But if you're not reading, capisco, try and spell it. Everybody at home, how would you write that? Because
Yeah, because it's got that tricky three Ks in the middle, hasn't it?
very good. Yes, it's one of those verbs that we I think mentioned quickly uh, a little while ago. Verbs in ire that are irregular but are very frequent, such as finire, such as well, I cannot think of any right now. It's ubbidire, to obey, stupire, to surprise. Many of them, majority of them actually behave this way.
Puliri.
Pulire, good, yeah. It's many. It's a long list. It's just that it's too early for me.
It is, it is, it is. Mio fratello è a casa
Mhm.
con i miei nonni. A casa is a good phrase as well.
Yes.
At home. Mio fratello, we know, is my brother. Comes from essere. So my brother is at home con i miei nonni.
Mhm.
Yeah, miei is just one of those words that once you've got it, it's always there. But yeah. I miei nonni, too many vowels in one place for my liking. But nonni is one of those Italian words that I think we all know and love. Nonno, nonna, nonni. We
Nonne.
can guess grandparents, can't we?
Yes, correct. You say it perfectly, but yes, miei, my in the plural form. We'll see that in a second. Whenever in Italian we have many vowels, one after another, such as here, M, I, E, I, we just say them separately, just the way you would expect it to be.
Yeah, I like it. Certo, I tuoi nonni. Okay, so miei, tuoi. I tuoi nonni, your grandparents.
Good.
Lui non viene ai vostri eventi, vero? Is he not coming to your event? Is that true?
Yes, events, vostri eventi. Lui non viene, he does not come ai vostri eventi. And then this
Mm.
vero at the very end, which you translated at this, isn't it true? Which I agree. It's we actually study this when we study English in school. We often study English from England or the UK, and we study how you use a lot this. I cannot remember how we call it, but at the end,
Question tag?
I think it might be. I think it might be a question
Yeah.
tag. Yes, it's a common. We never talk about those fillers, so to speak. Those words that
Mm.
we use a lot, we throw around a lot in Italian. But it's good to be exposed to them because otherwise you will be confused when you hear them.
I think we could do full episodes about the fillers. things I'm hearing all the time now, and going to Italy and hearing just people throwing words in the middle of sentences like vabbè and die, ma die. They're just good words because we have lots of them in English, don't we? And every language does. And I think it's generally kind of while you're thinking what to say next, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And I think it's especially when you study and then you study in a setting which kind of what you hear makes sense. It's a logical speech, like these dialogues. It's a very clear sentence, and but people don't speak like that. People go in
No.
circles and then go back, and then they say things and then they make mistakes. And so I think it's very important as your Italian or your language you're studying progresses to be exposed to different fillers and different ways of speaking, because it's going to be very confusing. And as you know, Martin, you may understand perfectly when you read or when you hear something in class, but then the second you go maybe to a specific city, you understand nothing. Or the second you try to speak with someone who's maybe younger, you understand nothing, because different ways of speaking.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
Cool. Ogni morte di papà,
Yes.
which is obviously this week's idiom that you've thrown in.
Yes.
So every death, every deaths of dad.
No dad, Pope.
Pope, of course, yes.
Right.
Morte un papa se ne fa un altro.
That also works. And it's not too different here. So first of all, for everybody listening, we have two words that are very similar in Italian. One is papa and one is papa. And the only difference is a little accent on the last A. Papa means dad. Papa means pope. And ogni morte di papa means... What do you think it means, Martin, if you have to take a guess?
Honestly, you foxed me this week. This
right.
is,
Yes.
Well done. Congratulations, you
yes.
win. Hai vinto.
Hai vinto. Well, the idea is that it's very uncommon that a pope dies each death of a pope. So it's something that happens once every many years.
Okay, so I guess it's every so often then.
It's even stronger. That's the idea, but it's even stronger. Like it's a 1 in a million kind of situation, So
okay,
he never does it, basically. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good one. I like that. I'll try and use that. I tell you what, a word that I came across last week that I don't think I've come across before. Babbo. I mean, I've heard of Babbo Natale, but Babbo as in Mama e Babbo. So Papa isn't used is Babbo used more like daddy then?
Okay, so that's a very good question you ask. I think Babbo is a bit older, so if you read an older book, for example, a novel, you will often find it used. And I think in modern Italian, they only use it in Tuscany. I might be wrong. Where did you hear it, or where did you read it?
I was walking past. I needed a coffee and a croissant or a cornetto, coffee and a cornetto, and I saw a place called Da Babbo, and it was obviously a coffee shop that someone's dad was running, wasn't it?
I would assume so. But in modern Italian, I really think it's maybe not even the whole Tuscany, just like the Florence area use the word babbo. I've never used it in my entire life, and it's hilarious to me that someone would. But no, papa is the common way to refer to dad in Italian. Babbo is just not really used except Babbo Natale. And for example, in Milan, in my area, when I was a kid, so about, 20 years ago, I don't know what they do now, but if you said babbo to someone, it was a very light insult. It was like saying someone was silly. Yeah, so I don't know. We would never dream of using it for that.
All right, okay, because I was just going to say that I'm going to make my children call me Babbo, but now you've made me think that's probably not the right thing to do.
Yeah. For us back then, maybe now it does not work anymore like that, but it was not really used as that.
Thank you. Okay, right. So are we talking about family now, or are we going to use the pronouns that we use for family then?
Well, I think most of the family members we have seen. Maybe let's quickly go through the closest family members. It shouldn't be too long. And then we talk about the pronouns. I think is the grammar topic. It's pretty interesting. So we've seen here a few. We said il papa. How is he the mom, just to do the other half?
Mamma
La
with
mamma, yes, correct.
double M in the middle. So mamma.
Correct. And careful here because it's il papa with an accent on the last A, but it's la mamma. It's not la mamma, which is, I think, a pretty common mistake from learners. And it's used in some areas in the south of Italy. So some people that maybe live in the US and come from southern Italy descent, they
Mm.
could think of saying mamma, but that's not Italian.
Oh, son and daughter, yeah. So filio and filia, which is
Yeah,
quite easy, isn't it?
correct, it is. And with this GLI sound, which you said pretty correctly, figlio, that's one of the hardest sounds, in my opinion.
And then children, or like sons, daughters, etc. Or you would say fili, wouldn't you? Unless it was two
Correct.
girls and then filia.
Figlie, very good, yeah.
Mm. Okay. Where
Then,
else do
yeah,
you want to go?
we can go fratelli and sorelle, the brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
That's very straightforward too. And then we saw uncle, which is quite an interesting one.
Ah, zio.
Very good. And aunt would be, or aunt would be zia. But zio is interesting in my opinion because it's one of the few cases in which the article will not be il, will not be l apostrophe, it will be lo zio.
Mm.
Yeah, do you want to
Lo
leave it there
zio.
or do you want to share your idea as to why we say lo, Martin?
Well, it's like the spur, isn't it? And so it's that sound, isn't it? That sound that
Correct.
la spina, lo
Yeah.
spina, lo sport.
Lo sport, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the beginning, the first letter, a couple letters of the next word. When it's a Z, zio, SP, SL, PS, PN, GN, ST, if I didn't say that already, which I probably did. It's a few of those, so it's not very common, and you shouldn't worry about it. But if you see lo zio, that's
Mm.
why. Don't be surprised.
Mm. Coolio. All right. So we've got uncles and aunties, zia.
Yeah.
And then you got cuginos, we talked about, cugini. Nonno, nonna, I nonni.
Good.
Nipote, which it can be two things, can't it? It can be
Yes.
grandchild and it also can be nephew, can't it?
Very good. Il nipote or la nipote, because
Mm.
as most nouns ending with an I or a in Italian, they do not change across gender. So it's
Mm.
masculine and feminine are the same, except for the article. So it can be in English granddaughter, grandson, nephew, or niece.
Mm. And then we've got like the modern day family, haven't we? It's all changed now. There's fratellastro, sorellastra,
Yeah,
patrigno, matrigna,
yeah,
for like stepbrother, stepsister, stepmom, stepdad.
yes.
Um,
Which sounds very ugly. Always, I never liked the sound of fratellastro, sorellastra. This str sound, it's a very, how is the, I forgot how to say in English, but in Italian, we change words.
mhm,
For example, when you say fratellino, right, or
mhm.
fratellone, but this ending changes whether it's a small ino, a big one, and this astro is usually used in a negative way, right?
Oh,
Yeah. So if you say, for example,
it's a diminutive, isn't it?
it is, but it usually refers to something slightly negative at least.
Right. Okay. But astro is like star, isn't it? Oh, look, I mean, I guess it's not, but it is from
Astro,
Greek, isn't it?
yes, astro, the word means star, or not quite star, but I think, but like anything that moves. I don't know, but yes, it's the same word
Mm,
for us. Um, but if you say, for example, lo ziastro,
mm.
it's the uncle. You're changing the word uncle, but it's like the one you don't like. So, for example, if you used to
Ah,
read Donald Duck,
yeah.
it could refer to Uncle Scrooge as
Ah, Uncle Scrooge. Wow, getting Uncle Scrooge in on the podcast.
yeah, yeah.
We might get some sponsorship.
I'm not. Yeah, well, that would be a good one. Although it's not very, generous. But when you want it to be insulting or offensive, not terribly,
Yeah.
but you would call him lo ziastro. So this astro is not generally a good ending.
Do you have Ziastra in Cinderella then? Ziastre.
So in Cinderella, you definitely have the sorellastre, and I think
Mm.
it was a matrigna for
Oh
us.
yeah, there were. Well, yeah, sorry, you're right.
I
Yeah,
think it was a
right.
matrigna, but it's been a few years since I've seen the movie, so maybe wrong. And then, yeah, as you said, matrigno,
Mm.
matrigna, sorry, obviously feminine, patrigno,
Yeah, and then I've got suocero, suocera.
yes, suocero e suocera,
Um, oh, suocera, suocera.
yeah,
Okay, cognato, cognata.
yes. So suocero and suocera means uh, uh, father and mother-in-law,
Hmm.
cognata and cognata, sister and brother-in-law. So,
And then the weird ones, genero
genero,
and genero,
mhm,
genero and nuora.
yes, genero and
Yeah,
nuora,
I always have a problem remembering nuora.
yeah. And they mean, how do you say in English? Because I'm getting confused my English too here.
Well, they're like son and daughter-in-law, aren't
Correct. Il genero is the son-in-law and la nuora is the daughter-in-law. Yes. So
they? Yeah.
the husband or the wife of your child, of your son and daughter.
And then I learnt two new ones last week, which I'd never seen before, and that's bisnonno,
Ooh, okay.
and I guess not many people are going to have a trisavolo, are they?
Trisavolo or trisnonno.
They're like great great grandfathers and
Correct.
great great, yeah.
Correct. So you have nonno, and then bisnonno, and then you could say
Mm,
trisnonno or trisavolo.
yeah.
And then it could potentially go up, but does it even make sense?
Well, possibly not. No, no.
Then at that point, you would probably just use the word antenato, and an antenato is just um, someone coming before you. You don't
Right,
specify anymore.
an ancestor.
Something like that, yes.
Right, okay. I also got told a word last week that vecchietto and vecchietta is a nice way of saying someone who's old.
Very good. And then we can make it the example we were making before. Vecchietto, vecchio means old, so vecchietto
Mm.
means oldie. I don't know how you say it in English, but like
Mm,
old in
yeah.
a cute way. Whereas if you say vecchiastro, you can hear how ugly that sounds.
Ah,
Vecchiastro, just this annoying old man that is always there trying to ruin my day. So vecchietto is
yeah.
like, oh, cute.
Right,
Good.
sorry, I went, you did say close family, and I went all around everyone's houses then, didn't I?
That's fine. That's fine. I think it's useful because most people know the very close family members, but who knows how to say the father of your great grandfather? Not many people.
Yeah.
Now everybody watching or listening does that.
Ah, quality.
Hmm. And now maybe let's quickly talk about the possessive pronouns. I don't want to go too much in detail, but I think let's start from a very interesting sentence in the podcast that
Hmm.
I wrote it, so that's why it's very interesting.
No, well, obviously, yeah, yeah.
And
Ovviamente.
it goes like this. Mio fratello è a casa con I miei nonni. What do you notice in this one, Martin?
Well, I noticed that if I said my chair, I would say la mia sedia.
Yes.
And so I add la to because it's la sedia. Now, when you're talking about a family member, if it's a
Hmm.
defined, the way I understand it, if it's a defined family member, a defined person like mio fratello, my brother, it's no doubt who I'm talking about.
Right.
However, if you're making it plural, i miei nonni, now you've got to go back to adding the article in there because it's more than one person.
You said you said it better than I could have. Very good. Yes. Generally speaking, before possessive pronouns or possessive adjectives, we would need an article. So la mia casa, la mia macchina. But if it's one close family member, you know who you're talking about, then you do not need the article anymore. So mio fratello, because we know is my brother, but I miei nonni because it's more than one. You could say mio nonno. So you don't need the article means it's not a mistake to put it. So you could say il mio fratello, but that sounds a
Mm,
bit weird to us. It's like you almost are you're changing the distance. You're saying something that is not standard, therefore you're implying something almost when speaking. So if you say la mia mamma or il mio papà,
mm,
for example, that sounds like what a child would say. So you make it sound like you're very close to either your brother,
mm.
your father, or your mother, more than usual. Right? Where you say mia mamma or mio papà without the article is what we usually do, and so it's what we expect people to do.
Would I say il mio gatto?
Yes, in that case, is we don't count animals, pets as family members, which I know we probably should. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. We eat them. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Close your ears, biscuits. Don't listen to the nasty man.
No, but that's a very good point. No, you cannot say mio gatto, but we need to say il mio gatto. Yeah.
Do you think that's something that will change in later generations?
You ask a very good question, I think, because languages change and families change, and I think a lot of people are now closer to their cat than they are to their brother or sister or father and so forth. So it's probably going to happen, and I think we have seen a very big change culturally in how animals and pets are considered. So it would not shock me, yeah, if you were to change.
Excellent. We like change. Change is good.
Change is always good. I agree. Yes.
Mm.
But talking about pronouns for a second more, as you were saying, we changed them masculine, feminine, singular, plural. So maybe let's take just the first one, mio, no, my or mine, because for us it's the same thing. How would you change it? Maybe try to put it with the word bambino, right? And try to make every possible case.
I was going to say dictionario, but il mio dizionario,
Good.
la mia matita.
La mia matita, my pencil. Good.
Yeah. Okay, so and then you would have to say le mie arance
Le mie arance, my oranges. Very good. Mie, M-I-E.
and I miei nonni.
I miei nonni, great. Miei is M-I-E-I. Miei. Can try to practice this a bit because, again, many vowels, it's kind of confusing to a lot of languages to pronounce. And remember before, both are adjectives and pronouns, possessive, we like to use articles except if it's a close family member. So, le mie arance, not mie arance. So, the my
Mm.
oranges, so to speak.
Yeah, okay, but then just to kind of confuse things slightly, if you say the book is mine, then it changes, doesn't it? So il
Okay,
libro è mio.
you raise a good point. In that case, both work. Okay, so let's put it this way. The usual way would be to say il libro è mio. Although, if you say il libro è il mio, that's also fine. That's also
Oh,
acceptable.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
and we would need to get into the distinction between pronouns and adjectives, which I usually try to avoid because it gets a bit
Mm,
grammatical. We have to explain what each are. I like just to say mio translates both my and mine and just leave it at that. And then
mhm.
if people get very advanced, then okay, yeah, sure, il libro è mio is slightly better sounding than il libro è il mio. But I think since articles usually in Italian are never a mistake, when in doubt, just put it, and it's gonna be fine. You know, it's always better to put one more than one less. Let's put it this way.
Coolio.
Yeah.
Eccellente, grazie mille.
Bene, grazie a te Martin, è un piacere. Grazie a tutti. Thanks to everybody else
Mm,
tuning in. And yes, ci vediamo ci sentiamo settimana prossima.
mm. Alla prossima a tutti.
Ciao, buona giornata. Have a good day.
Arrivederci.
Ciao ciao.